Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to be going over Anki. If you haven't seen the previous two videos going over the other tools for the series, please go watch those first. They're going to be needed. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into Anki. Alright, so there's a lot to do with Anki. So let's go ahead and jump into a new browser. Let's go ahead and search up Anki. Just going to search up Anki. And once again, everything's going to be in the description below for where you can go to get them installed. Go ahead, go to the Anki webpage, go ahead, click download, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead download Anki for Windows 10/11. Alright, once we have Anki downloaded, we're going to go ahead and double click into the exe file, and then click yes. This is going to be the file location where you want to have it installed. I'm just going to leave it as the default location. Go ahead, click install. And once it's done, go ahead and click close, and that's going to be the Anki installation. So actually, let's go ahead and delete that so we don't have it crowding it up. And let's go ahead and let's type in Anki, see if we can see it. And Anki does pop up. So if you type up Anki, it should pop up. If not, there might be something wrong with it. So let's go ahead and create a shortcut. So as you can see, we already have looks like it just made a desktop shortcut, but in the case that it doesn't have a desktop shortcut, go ahead, right click, let's go ahead, open file location. If you're curious where it's located, it's going to be in the C, in the program files, Anki, and then here it is. So if you want to create a shortcut, you can always just send to desktop, and this is going to create a shortcut. I'm not going to do that because I already have one here. So what I normally do is I just delete that. I don't like to crowd up my desktop and then just search up Anki. A window is going to pop up now, and in that window, the first thing you want to do is select your language. So let's go ahead and do English. Yes. You can change it to Japanese later if you want to, but we're not going to do that. So the important thing here, what we want to do is we want to sync everything to Anki. So that you can use Anki on your phone, you can use Anki on your laptop. So in order to do that, if you click sync, you're going to need to create an account. So go ahead and click sign up. Let's just create an account so we can get things synced up. So yeah, agree to the terms and conditions, and then you'll have an email sent to your email. Go ahead and verify that by just clicking the verify email link that's going to be in it, and then it's going to have an email verified page. So that's done. Now let's go ahead and log in. Alrighty, and then you just click that sync button, and now it'll sync between devices. So just log in on whatever devices you have and it'll sync. That is the most important thing. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is we want to get some Anki add-ons. So let's go ahead and open up Google Chrome, and we're going to be downloading a couple of specific ones to Japanese. So go ahead and search up Japanese support Anki, and then it's going to pop up this first one. Scroll down to the bottom of not to the bottom of the page, but until you see this number. We're going to copy this here. Then we're going to go to tools, add-ons, get add-ons, and then copy that add-on into Anki. So that's going to process. Meanwhile, while that's processing, let's go ahead and go to Anki Connect. We're going to need Anki Connect. Let's go ahead, copy this here. Let's go back to Anki. So installed completely. Get add-ons, paste that add-on, and now it's going to process and install as well. The next thing we're going to search up is something called straight rewards. This is going to be Anki. Straight rewards. This lines up more with how I have the cards set up, so you don't really need this one, but if you're going to be setting up the way that I have it, you're going to be needing it. So scroll down over to the number, and let's go ahead and install this add-on. And then this last one is not necessary at all, but you know, I like it. So Anki background changer, custom background image, and gear icon. Do the same thing. And once all these are installed, go ahead and click and exit out of Anki. It's going to say this. Let's just click no for now because we don't need to do anything. Alright, and then we're going to open Anki back up. It's going to give us the same pop-up notification. Click no. Let's go ahead and go into tools, preferences. We're going to change it to the dark theme. This is preferences, and then custom background. If you want to have your own picture, go ahead and click this file extension right here. We're going to go to where the picture is located. In my case, it's this 30 Amelia one. Cut. Then you're going to go to app data percent, Anki 2, add-ons, and then you're going to click this 121091, and then you're going to go into user files, background, then you're going to paste it into this folder. So now that you have that, just go ahead and click whatever image you want. And then the main, I'm going to reduce the background opacity so that it's not too high. And then now you can see that it has changed into that. So that's just how you can get a custom background. That's not necessary. I just like custom backgrounds. So let's get into the meat of the Anki part. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna import an Anki deck, and I would just use what I have provided here. So we're gonna go ahead and import my Anki styling. Go down to the description, you're gonna find this export.apkg file, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna import it into Anki. So once you have it downloaded, go to File, go to Import, and then we're going to go to where the file location is, in my case the desktop. Then we're just going to go ahead, click, and open it. So once it's done processing, now you'll have my note styling, and then you'll have the deck is named Export. So if we go ahead and take a look at it in the browser, we have my filler spot. We have all of these different sections that we'll need for sentence mining. So now the next thing you want to do is close out of Anki. So go ahead, close out of it, and what you're going to do is this pop-up is going to occur because your online cloud storage for Anki is different than what you have locally. So let's go ahead, upload to Anki Web so that we can upload this card formatting to Anki, and go ahead and close. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set up Anki with Yomichan so that you can mine directly to Anki. So let's go ahead, reopen Anki back up, and now we should be good to go. Go ahead and open up a Chrome browser, and then in that Chrome browser, go ahead and go into Yomichan, click this cog here for settings, and now we're going to be setting up the Anki part of Yomichan. So scroll down. All of this should have been set up in the Yomichan video, but we're gonna go ahead and scroll down over to Anki, and then we're gonna set up a couple of things. So in here, you wanna make sure this server address is the same. You wanna make sure that enable Anki integration is here. It should say connected. If Anki is not open, it will not say connected. It will instead say Anki connection failure. So here's an example here. Anki connection failure. So what you need to do is just reopen Anki back up and it'll appear. So refresh and then go back down. Perfect. The next thing you want to do is scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. And what we want to do is configure card format. This is the most important part. So once you're here, you have the deck. You can choose what deck you want to do, and you can choose what model you're going to want to do. Here's going to be a quick thing. If you want to change the name of your deck, go ahead and click create deck in Anki. Let's do this one, sentence mining. And then now we have a sentence mining deck. You can go ahead and delete the export one because the note style is already stored in Anki. And then now you just go ahead and refresh this Yomichan page. Go back into configure Anki card format, and then now you have sentence mining. The model name for this one is Japanese Sentences. Japanese Sentences, that's the name that I got from the model deck that I modified it from. A mixture of what they use at AJAT and some, I believe it's just that one from the MP Vacious card styling. And then what you're going to want to do is click this full screen button here, and it'll open this guy up here. In your filler spot, what I have here is glossary. And then inside of the vocab, I have furigana. Then inside of expression, I have sentence. And then inside of reading, I have reading as empty. So just go ahead and delete it. Inside of vocab kanji, I have expression. The vocab furigana, I have furigana plain. Inside of the vocab definition, I have glossary brief. Inside of audio, this is the audio, 4-vo audio so that you can export audio. And then make vocab card, I have as yes. This is how I have my card set up. In this case, it creates a vocab card that has the vocab on the front and then the sentence and definition on the back. And then all of these other things as well. I'll show you what they are. This glossary brief is that so it only takes the brief definition of the word rather than the entire glossary. It looks a little bit cluttered, and glossary brief is more concise in my opinion. So that is going to be that for Yomichan. And then for an example, let's go ahead and export a card to Anki. And I'm sorry, there's actually one more thing that we have to do in Anki. So what we want to do is we want to set up the options for our Anki decks. So this is how often we'll see cards and stuff like that, how many cards a day you'll see. So what I'm going to be doing this is basing it off of how I have it set up. As you can see here on this left hand side, this is how I have mine set up, so we're going to go ahead and change it to that. So inside of here you're going to see what your what options you're going to be using for the Anki deck. Here we're just going to leave it as default. It doesn't really matter what you choose here, because you can specify this on your own. It's just the name. So since we didn't create any special names, we're just going to leave it as default. So if you're just starting out with Anki, I recommend you do something along the lines of 10. Unless you're trying to be a little bit more ambitious, you can do 15 to 20. The math kind of comes out around the lines of this. If you have 10 new cards per day, at the end of 2 weeks, you will be doing anywhere between 80 to 90 cards per day. For maximum reviews, let's go ahead and just put this at the maximum, 9,999, so that we just see all the reviews that we want to have. We don't want to limit it, or else we won't see all the reviews that we need to. The way that I have my learning steps is 5 minutes and 10 minutes. So for new cards, you'll see it twice, once at 5 minutes and then once at 10 minutes. It doesn't mean that you have to see those cards in those intervals, but that's what it will kind of show you at. The next thing that I like to do is have it as sequential. You can have it at random, but when I'm sentence mining, I like to see the cards that I just created. In the beginning I was doing random, but then I wasn't seeing the cards that I had created. I was seeing cards all over the place, and so I just found it more preferential to do sequential. The relearning steps for what I have here is I just have 5 minutes, and then I leave the leech action to tag only. So leeches are cards that you fail, in this case 8 times. So if you have a card that you've been passing for about a week and then you fail it, that starts adding into your leech threshold. I believe there's a certain amount of numbers of times that you fail it to make it a leech. In my case, it doesn't really matter too much, so I just tag it instead of suspending it. Go ahead and leave the timer off. We don't really care about that one. What I have here is I have this bury new siblings on. Just go ahead, select that, and then we're gonna go ahead and go down to straight rewards here. Okay, and so if you didn't install these straight rewards add-on, you won't see this field, but we're just gonna go ahead and fill it in as so. So these are as 3, 0.05, 0.05, starting ease 1.3, and stop ease at 3.5. You can leave stop ease at 2.5, but I like to put it at 3.5 so that cards that I'm passing I don't see as often, so I don't have to do as many. Go ahead and disable a notification. I don't want to be seeing notifications that pop up for straight rewards. And then we're going to go ahead and jump into this last section. This is setting up how often you see cards and whatnot. So the maximum interval, just go ahead and leave that as so. The starting ease at 2.5. The ease bonus, we don't really care too much about that. The interval modifier, we're going to put at 1.15. Hard interval, and then the new interval is, we're going to put it at 20% or 0.2. So this is basically what happens when you click again. Instead of setting your card back to square one, we're just going to set it at 20% of the way. So you don't see it too often, but you will begin to see it enough. If you start to see cards too often, you can always put this at 0.5, but I like to leave mine at 0.2. Alright, and so those are the settings that we have for my Anki deck. I like to use these settings. You can always look up online what other settings there are. There's like bajillion different ways you can do this, but this is how I prefer to do mine. So let's go ahead and jump back into the Yomichan stuff. Oh yeah, and make sure you click save. Make sure you click save up here before you exit out. All right, so we have everything that we need for this to actually work now. So Anki's been installed, all the add-ons. How do you actually mine in Anki? So now we're gonna go ahead and go through that. What you want to do is be in the browser for Anki, and you want to open it up on the side. Let's just go ahead and click into this news article, and let's go ahead and read some of the stuff. Okay, so now that we're in here, let's say we come across a word that we don't understand or we don't know. What we're gonna do is click shift. It's gonna have the word pop up, and then you can see all of this in here. To export it to Anki, all you simply have to do is click this plus sign. So click the plus sign, and then to refresh in Anki, what you do is you just go to, I just go down to edited and then click add, and then it'll bring me to this. So now here we are in Anki. There are a ton of definitions in here and we don't need them. So what I like to do is I like to just select the best one. Let's just say resistance in this case, and leave that as the vocab definition. Then what we want to do, using the Japanese support allows for furigana creation. You go ahead, click expression, then you click tab, and it's going to create the furigana reading inside of the reading field here. Because my computer is slow, it's going to process it. Okay, and on my first time around, it actually crashed, but let's do that again. So if you go into the expressions field here, you can click tab and it'll create a new reading, or you can just click expression and then you can just click reading and it'll create the furigana readings. So as you can see, now it has the readings for these, like teiko, it has the reading, and that is going to be it for the Anki card creation. It's pretty simple once you have everything set up and organized in Yomichan. So if we go ahead and take a look at the preview, here's a preview of the card. We have the vocabulary word, we have on hover the furigana reading of it, teiko, and then we have the expression from where it came from. So this is where it came from in the news article. And then if we go ahead and continue to the back side, we can see we have the word here. Actually, there's one more thing that we have to change so that we can have everything centered. So we're gonna jump back into Yomichan real quick to get that fixed. So as you may have seen, that Anki card, it had it on the left hand side. So what we're gonna want to do is we want to have it on the middle, as it makes things a little bit more readable, in my opinion, for the formatting of the card. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and hop into configure Anki card templates, and you're gonna see all this. Don't worry, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna search up left. I can type, and then what we're going to do here is change this one over to center. So now it's going to be center aligned, and let's make sure that everything else is where we need it. Perfect. So that first one is going to be center, and that's all we need to change inside of here. Just make sure that this one is, the center is below the one that has glossary, and it should be good to go. So we're going to go ahead and close it. And then there's also one more important thing that we have to change in the settings. This is so that we don't see a bajillion different definitions when we go to mine. So where it normally is group term reading pairs, go ahead and click no grouping, and this is going to make mining a little bit more manageable and a little bit easier to choose between definitions. So let's go ahead and delete this note. Go ahead, delete. Let's go back to teiko, and then we're going to add it to Anki. Go to added, click on it. We're gonna go ahead and now expressions, reading. And now we only have 3 things to delete. So you're still going to have to do some modification because that's just the way these dictionary definitions are organized, but it's not the long list of things you might have seen earlier. So we're going to go ahead and do resistance, and then now we can go ahead and successfully preview it. So now we'll notice that everything is going to be centered in the card, and this makes it much easier for your eyes when you're going through the card, so that you don't have to look all the way to the left if you choose to full screen it like this. So now everything's going to be centered. If you do choose to leave things as on the left hand side, you can go back and change that centered to left, or you can even change it to right. But in my opinion, the middle or the center is going to be your best layout for those Anki cards. And so that's pretty much going to be how your sentence mining is going to be going. One other thing down here you have are conditional fields. So you have a production card and we have a sentence card. So we don't really care about the production card, but the sentence card and vocab card you might pick between. So for example, what is a sentence card? Let's go ahead and put yes. And then I will be explaining all of this stuff in more detail in the 5th video of the series where I go through the sentence mining workflow, but this is just to get you introduced to the conditional fields. So I went ahead and put yes in the make sentence card field, and notice how I took it out of make vocab card, but watch what happens when I click added. When I click added, this vocab card is still here. You can see that it's highlighted here and under card. Vocab is still here, and then there's also now a sentence card. So one important differentiation you have to notice in Anki is that these are called cards. Each entry is a card, but they're related to the same note. So the note type in this case is what you exported from me. These are part of the same note, but they are different cards. So that's why when you go to click notes, you can delete this and it's going to delete both. So let's go ahead, undo that. So this leads me to a weird little option to where how the heck do you delete cards if when you go to delete, it just deletes all the cards. This is the workaround that I know of right now. I'm pretty sure there are some add-ons. So first I'm going to show you what the sentence card looks like. So let's go into the sentence card. It's going to have the sentence and then it's going to have the definition of it on the back with the stroke order. This is just another add-on. But if you go into your vocab and you go to preview, it's going to say empty card. So the front of this card is blank. The way that you delete it, it's a little bit of a weird way, but exit out of the browser, go to your main screen, go over to file, go over to tools, and then click empty cards. It's going to say empty cards for Japanese sentence. There is one of 2 cards empty. You're gonna go ahead and delete it. So it's gonna say deleted 1 card. And now let's go back into the browser. Let's go to added, or we can even go to our decks here, the sentence mining deck, and you'll see there's 1. Now say we want to do vocab card. It's gonna do the exact same thing, just the opposite. Now the sentence card is going to be blank. So that's just a weird little thing that you have to do. Let's go ahead and empty the cards again if you want to delete individual cards. Other than that, I don't really use it too often. I usually just leave everything as a vocab card. And then when I choose to make sentence cards, those are a little bit less. And those sentence cards are generally for words that I know in a different way or a different meaning, but I want to learn it in a different sentence. So that's the only time I use sentence cards. Alright, and so that's going to be the end of the tutorial for Anki. There's going to be a lot more of demonstration for the Anki integration with MPV and Yomichan in the last video where I go through the sentence mining workflow, but that's the bulk majority of what you need for Anki. There's almost an unlimited amount of things that you can do with it, but this is how I have mine set up, so this is how I like to leave it, and this is how I like to show it. So that's going to be at the end of today's video, but the next video is going to be going over Jiro Jisho, which is probably the most powerful phone app for Japanese, and I'm going to go ahead and showcase what it can do. So if you don't care about the phone app, then go ahead, jump over to the last video where I'm going to be going through the sentence mining workflow, and then you can end off there. But that's going to be the end, so good luck in your journey, and I'll see you again in the next one.